In 1989, we put out a movement called the Stop the Violence Movement, to which we put out a song called the Self-Destruction. It was called Self-Destruction, the song. And Self-Destruction, the song, was very quickly put together. It was everybody that I basically had in my phone book, myself and Carly, a gentleman named Nelson George. We all got together and sort of put together the cast of the Stop the Violence movement based on who was available, who we knew at the time, this kind of thing. It was very East Coast driven because we didn't know what would become of this movement or anything like that. We just basically threw it together. It really came out of our hearts. So, you know, shout out to the West Coast on that one. Mike Concepcion ran up on me and was like, yo, you left out all the West Coast artists. And after we did that in 1989, the following year, the West Coast West Coast artists responded with We Are All in the Same Gang. So between these two records, Self-Destruction and We Are All in the Same Gang, hip-hop took a look at itself critically. It took a subjective look at it, so really an objective, subjective look at itself, a self-critical look. And we loved what we saw, but we also saw our shortcomings. And one of the things we came to was the lack of unity that is within us, this lack of unity. And it's not that we are not unified as hip-hoppers, it's the nature of the business by which we're in forces us to compete with each other. And so that business nature sinks into our cultural nature, and now you have this difficulty in getting unified and coming together. But we've been hearing Africa Bambaataa preach peace, love, unity, and safely having fun for years. And really, this is where the Stop the Violence movement is really inspired from. It's really inspired from Africa Bambaataa. I took a meeting in 1987 where Africa Bambaataa put us all together in a place called the Latin Quarters. And he talked about hip-hop unionizing itself. Not unifying itself in a cultural sense, but unionizing itself in an industry sense, in a business sense. Africa Bambaataa also talked about hip-hop becoming a commodity, that it was becoming too commercial, that we weren't seeing enough of the street code, the culture, the community represented within hip-hop. And so this whole conversation in 1987 is really what inspired me to write the song Stop the Violence. Try to remember that before we put out Self-Destruction, in 1988, I wrote a song called Stop the Violence. It appeared on the By All Means Necessary album. And this song was inspired both by Africa Bambaataa and by the fact that there was a lot of club violence back in the days. You'd be performing on the mic, and then all of a sudden, you see a fight break out. So I wanted to write something that while you're fighting in the club, I could actually say something that dealt with that right there at the top. And that's how the song Stop the Violence actually came about. But then Ann Carly and Nelson George approached me and said, we want to make Stop the Violence into a movement. And so we took that song, and pretty much everyone already knew what it was on the streets already because my album was already successful, but mainstream didn't know what hip-hop was dealing with until we came out with Self-Destruction. And when we came out with Self-Destruction, surprisingly enough, it was, I don't want to say black radio, but I'll say urban radio that had the most problem and most resistance to the song. It was really Ralph McDaniels and people like Ted Demi at Yo MTV Raps that really started pushing the song and really got everybody to hear it. Mixed show DJs would play it every once in a while, but again, it was too preachy, it was too long of a song. People really didn't treat it with the respect that it's gained today. And I say this to say that I predict that we may be up against the same challenges today. Today, you have artists that are at least on record, they're acting as if they're irresponsible or that they're not responsible for their lyrics. And I say this respectfully because I don't believe that artists are responsible for their music. I don't believe that every artist should be held accountable for his or her music or art. But I do believe that as a man or as a woman or as a father or as a mother, even a son or a daughter, you have some responsibility to those who have laid their lives down for you to enjoy the freedom that you enjoy today. And so from that perspective, we appeal to the hip-hop community to come together in the tradition of hip-hop: peace, love, unity, and safely having fun. You know, peace, love, unity, and safely having fun. These are the original principles, and this is what the Stop the Violence movement is seeking to return to hip-hop in that way. It's not that it's not here now. I really should say the Stop the Violence movement seeks to return hip-hop's original principles to rap music industry, because hip-hop is already living like this. We already have love for one another. You would think that, you know, me and Shan still got beef from 1987. It's not even the case. You would think that even me and Nelly, not the case at all. Behind the scenes, we are all brothers and we are all sisters. And the respect that we have all earned in hip-hop is shown even amongst the new artists. I couldn't have done this movement if I thought it was just going to be an old school movement or a true school movement. Like, you know, we're just going to gather together all the heads that were down before and everyone who really understands true hip-hop, and that's what we're going to do the movement with. We can do it, but we'd only be preaching to the choir, which is why I reached out to Cassidy and 50 Cent and Snoop and Ludacris, those with controversial lyrics or extreme images. These are our brothers and sisters, and they are just as much hip-hop as I am. They just don't get a chance to express it. And so when artists are given the opportunity to rise to their higher selves, they jump right on it. Because more than art, you're a man. More than your lyrics, you're a woman. More than anything that deals with you externally or your self-expression is your self-intention. Who are you on the inside? That's what this movement means. We're not asking for everybody to be down. Everybody get down to Stop the Violence movement. That's not what this is. This is an opportunity for you to rise to your higher self. There it is.